Welcome back to the Great Debate Show. I'm Jarvis Jeffries, Nick Ely, Terrence Smith. They call us the good guys, and we're back for another one up in this biatch. It's the Great Debate Show. The Great Debate Show is available wherever you get your podcast. Rate, review, follow or subscribe. And when you do that, whether you listen to the entire episode or not, please don't forget to quickly press that download button, and that thing is going to circle around, especially around some Wi-Fi, in about 3 to 5 seconds. We kindly appreciate it. All right, we got a lot to talk about. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime or Prime Video. The Cowboys just beat the New York Giants 2015. It was a 5.5 point spread, so the Cowboys win by only 5. A guy who doesn't miss even 60-yard field goals missed a 50-yarder a little earlier, the last field goal that it looked like he purposely hit wide right, and that would have been your point spread for the night. That is what we call point shaving at its finest. But I know nobody believes Jarvis when he says unhinged things like that. At least according to Nick, that's what I do. All right, guys, we're going to talk about this Thursday night game, even though it was another snooze fest. A lot of flags. The Cowboys just couldn't seem to put the Giants away, and I wish they had it done in an hour or so ago. We could be done with this bad boy by now. But either way, first, before we talk about the Cowboys and the Giants, Terrence and Nick, man, how y'all doing this week?
All right, Nick got
Doing
the
great,
fresh chop.
man.
I'm not doing as good as Nick is.
I can't even see that. Hold on. My
Why am I
screen.
doing? I mean, I'm doing pretty good, I guess, because I got a short week in front of me. So there's that. Headed out a little early tomorrow for a long weekend. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, Nick's got
Okay.
the fresh chop,
All
man. I'm
right.
not doing that good.
Oh yeah. Had to go and get it together. Can't go out of town looking rough, man. Had to pull it together. I
Where
had
you
a
going?
haircut in like a month.
Where
Going
you
to St.
going?
Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah, a little road trip.
Okay. All right. Be safe. Memphis 2.0. Be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, be safe.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Look, the Dallas Cowboys just beat the New York Giants by a score of 2015. They said that the Cowboys really can't stop the run and they really can't run the ball. Tonight, they stopped the run pretty damn good and they ran the ball pretty damn good. Matter of fact, I had to look at Ezekiel Elliott a few times to see is it 2016 or is it 2024? He doesn't look bad at all. I'm not going to lie. The offensive line didn't look bad. Again, this is the Giants that they're playing, but some people actually thought that the Giants could give the Cowboys a go, and they hung in there. But the Cowboys do get the win nonetheless. It's a good thing they do because they've got a hell of a schedule coming up the next 5 weeks, as there'll be a bye week in between. But they've got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up in 10 days, so they need that 10-day rest. And then they've got the Detroit Lions. They've got the Niners after a bye week, I believe, and also the Atlanta Falcons. So tonight, though, first things first, they had to beat the Giants. They done that. They're 2-2. Their season probably would have been over, some people think, had they lost tonight. But they won. So let's start with Nick. It's in his division. He knows that team. I'm pretty sure he was looking at that team to see, doing his annually scout check or scout report. What do you get from the Cowboys and what you see? I'm sure they don't bother you or worry you at all, as far as your Eagles go. But what did you get from this win tonight against the Giants?
Yeah. I feel very comfortable within my division is what I got from it. Number one, I feel like, all of the Giants, Malik Neighbors is certainly showing himself to be a superstar in the making for sure.
Yep.
They're not a good team, and for the Cowboys to have the struggle that they had with them, and the way it looked, particularly, they were able to stymie the run a lot better than they had previously. They couldn't move the ball on their own. Now the Giants' defense is somewhat improved from what it was last year. So I do got to give them some credit there. But if you're a team like the Cowboys that's supposed to be closer to the upper echelon of the league, this game should not have been that close, in my opinion. It didn't happen with the Vikings, who have shown themselves, at least to this point, to be a legitimate squad with Sam Darnold. And so if you're Dak Prescott, you usually got $60 million a year. I expect better than 20 to 15 over the Giants. Like I said, give the Giants some credit. Their defense is a little better than it was last year. But I feel very comfortable within the division. Like I said, the Commanders, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. Certainly look better than anticipated, but that's not something I think will last. So as an Eagles fan, I feel comfortable is the word that I walk away with tonight.
All right, Nick T.
Nick, you're right. It shouldn't have been that close because the Giants should have beaten them. You're not gonna win a game, not a lot, kicking 5 field goals. All those trips to the red zone, some on the goal line, and all they could muster up was 5 field goals. That's just to me, that's just not acceptable. I'm sick of seeing the Giants being the doormat of the NFC. It's time for them to grow up, or somebody's got to go. Um, that's my only takeaway. As far as the Cowboys, man, you know what? Looking at their schedule coming up, this game actually hurt them. This win they're gonna pay for because as you saw, we saw a banged up Diggs, we saw a banged up Lawrence, we saw a banged up Parsons, and they've got a rough schedule coming up. If they don't have those guys, we might be looking at a 2-4, 2-5, possibly 2-6 Cowboys team. And the Vince McMahon documentary is out right now. They'll have no chance in hell of getting to the playoffs, and they end up missing too many of those guys going into this very, very rough stretch.
I got to watch that documentary. Apparently, he's kind of upset about it.
He did it.
Yeah. They say
Yeah,
I've always
according to him, they chop things together in a certain way to make him look worse, and this, that, and the third. I'm gonna watch it. I want y'all to watch it. Y'all are more in tune with what he's been doing for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years since I stopped watching. So y'all can kind of fill me in on what's right and wrong.
it's not so much of what he's been doing. It's not so much of what Vince McMahon has been doing the past 10, 15 years. It's what he did years and decades ago that people are just now bringing back to light. The same thing. He was being Diddy before Diddy. To be honest with you, this has been going on for about 2 years.
Everybody did it.
Seriously, I mean that's the industry. It's just some people go against the odds or renege on some things, and that's when they say, "All right, we're about to lock your ass up." Hey, meet R. Kelly. You met him before, right? All right, slide over. That's your bunk. This is what they do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Guys, the Cowboys won, Giants lost. Cowboys are gonna move on. They got bigger fish to fry, and I mean some big fish, starting in Pittsburgh. Can't wait to see that one. Could be a lot of more field goals in that game too. But my question for you all before we move on to Sunday's games, tell me this: now that the New York Giants are now 1-3 at the bottom of the division, Brian Dable, we already know this is a make or break a year for him. He probably won't be around much longer if they continue this. Something's going to happen here. Something's going to change. Do you think Brian Dable, out of desperation, is going to make a change at quarterback?
To who?
I don't know, but I mean, I know they're paying Daniel Jones, but how does Daniel Jones look? I mean, what do you think of him?
Who's his backup?
I don't know who is the backup.
Exactly.
I'm just asking: are the Giants going to? Is Brian Dable going to go into panic mode and just start making changes because?
First off, I don't. The one reason I don't think so is because if you go look at tonight wasn't Daniel Jones' fault.
I'm not suggesting that it was. I'm just asking. Looking at the.
I said it to say I don't see why he would look to make a change at the quarterback position. Daniel Jones ain't the reason they lost this game. I would say Daniel Jones actually played a pretty good game, all things considered. Didn't score any touchdowns, of course, but 29 of 40, 281, and did have the one interception late in I was in the last play there, just in a Hail Mary situation, really, but he didn't turn the ball over, moved it very well. Like I said, just didn't get it in the end zone. I don't see a reason, no. To answer your question, no. If you're looking to make a change, it's not the quarterback position that's the problem.
Let me ask y'all this. If the Giants have Saquon Barkley, do they win this game tonight?
He definitely could have been a difference maker in this game. Absolutely. Saquon Barkley absolutely could have been a difference maker in a 5-point game against Dallas, who can't stop the run. Absolutely. Because he is miles better than Devin Singletary. Now, that offensive line, also improved over what it was last year, but that's not saying much. It's a very low bar to jump over.
No.
And so, but even with that being said, with a weapon like Malik on the outside, that can at least pull one, at least maybe one of those guys out of the box, can definitely make a difference for Saquon Barkley, and Saquon could have made a difference for that team. Glad he's not there and he's wearing green instead.
Last
Well,
thing I'll say,
if
uh, if you're a Giants fan, you had to look at tonight and realize this was the absolute best game you're going to get out of Daniel Jones, and it wasn't good enough. Not, it really, yeah, it just felt like it wasn't good enough. His best game wasn't good enough against a mediocre game from the Cowboys. Would you say offensively? Anyway, I think the defense played about the best they could probably play, but offensively, I think it was a mediocre game for him. And this is the best you can get out of Daniel Jones, and it still wasn't good enough. That's not good.
and that's the reason why something's going to change in New York with the Giants organization, whether it be the head coach, whether it be a coaching change, a quarterback change. You're telling me that they didn't replace Saquon Barkley good enough. The offensive line was improved, but not improved good enough. Malik Neighbors definitely is on his way to being a star. It looks like it, but something's got to change in New York. I mean, this is it. I feel like this is where you're going to see different coach, different quarterback, a lot of different things after this season is over. And I was just wondering, was there anything out of desperation that Brian Dable could do right now to save his job? And according to you guys, it doesn't seem like there's too much more he can do. What he could
They're
have
just
did,
not good.
what he could have did was try to put together a better roster. At least him and the general manager. And if they both fail to do that together, they'll probably both fail to retain their jobs, their positions for next year. I don't know what the
Yeah.
contract look like, but man, the Giants just and sometimes you're rooting for them. Like, come on, man, come on, Daniel Jones, you can do it. Get in there. Not one touchdown. That is just not. It's just not acceptable in the NFL. At some point, you have to do more than kick 5 to 7 field goals a game. They just done this a few weeks ago, losing to the Commanders. They actually kicked like 6 field goals, and they lost because the Commanders kicked like 7 field goals. But still, yeah, it has to be better. All right, Sunday's games. There's quite a few. Some games, like it's another one of those up and down weeks kind of in the NFL. Not as good as last week, I don't believe. This was kind of going back to what week 2 was like. But there are some games that are pretty good. Monday night, Detroit and Seattle was going to be pretty good. We've got the Bucks and the Eagles on Sunday. We've got the Bills and Ravens on Sunday. That one may be the game of the week. Wherever you want to start, Nick, tell us. Where are we starting? For some of the big games. We're going to do about a handful of them, I would say. Maybe 5, I would
All
say.
right. I tell you what, we'll start away from both of our teams. Let's start in the NFC North with the 3-0 Minnesota Vikings visiting the 2-1 Green Bay Packers. As it sits, the Packers are a 3-point favorite, which suggests to me that Jordan Love must be playing. Jarvis, is you in the conference with me? I'll get this one to you first. What you got?
Well, that definitely sounds like an intriguing game. Vikings, Packers. I think this is the first time I can remember the Vikings going on the road this season. It seems like they've been at home for 3 straight weeks since we started the season. I'm sure that's not the case, but I know the past 2 weeks they've been at home and they've whooped some tail. They whooped the Niners.
They went on the road to the Giants
They
to
whooped the
start the
Texans.
season.
Okay. So week 1 they were on the road, and now they're trying to get back on the road. All right. Well, we know they're pretty damn good at home. I can't wait to see how this defense plays in Lambeau. Now they're going at a good time because the next time they play them, they'll be in their dome where it's nice and warm and cozy, and they're going to Lambeau Field, before October. So this works in the Vikings' favor. Since Jordan Love is coming back, if he's coming back, could we say that? I hate to say it. It would be in a perfect world. It would be great that he would come back and the Packers would win this football game. They won 2 without him, which kind of overexceeded what they were expecting. But for them to be 3-point favorites, that kind of worries me a little bit. As much as I like the Packers this year, and I like them being number 2, if not winning that NFC North, but Right now, number one is Minnesota, and I'm gonna say that that's gonna continue. I'm going with the Vikings on the road to get this win. Jordan Love may just need another game to get back, get back to his regular self. He played week one, which seems like forever ago, and I don't know. He may be a little rusty coming back here. And Brian Flores' defense, everybody's telling him out there every game that his scheme is crazy. So I'm just gonna go with the Vikings, even though I know I could be wrong. I love Matt LaFleur. We need to talk about top five head coaches. If we do, Matt LaFleur is probably top three. What he's doing with Malik Willis, unbelievable. But again, the Vikings on the road, man, and it's not just Sam Darnold. It's not just Justin Jefferson. It's Kevin O'Connell. It's Brian Flores. Coach, he definitely has to get a head coaching job for real. I'm going Vikings. I'm sorry. I like both of those teams though, and that's gonna be a good game.
Terrence?
Hey, I'm actually going to roll with the Vikings as well. Injury or not, the last time we saw Jordan Love, he didn't look really good. Uh, Adding to that, how good the Vikings defense has played, and the Vikings they're not just defense; they do have a little bit of explosiveness. Adam Jones in the backfield, um, Justin Jefferson still beating you over the top. Sam Darnold is playing the best football of his life. I am going to go with the Vikings. I'll be at a close game in Green Bay, but I'll take the Vikings.
I'm also going to make this a clean sweep. I'm going to take the Vikings as well. And I'm not quite wringing hands about it as much as it seems you guys may be. I'm actually going to pick it pretty confidently. I think the two factors that you guys kind of pointed out, but that I'll hone in on. One being Jordan Love, of course, just coming back from injury, and then two, the defensive schemes that Brian Flores is running. I actually did spend a little time earlier this week and kind of start looking at some of the plays and some of the ways that he was lining up and what the disguise would give you, and then what it turned into post snap, and it's kind of psycho. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was seeing, like, after seeing probably 40 or 50 plays of it, I kind of went, okay, I see kind of what he's doing. He's playing a lot of games with the safeties, bringing them down. One in particular, I saw it looked very much like man coverage. He had Harrison Smith down on the line of scrimmage as if he was going to blitz. Like it looked like zero man coverage, and it turned into cover two because the corner flew to the one half, the corner other hand flew to the other half, and suddenly it was cover two. In the game against the Texans this past week, it was. So I kind of started getting a handle, not necessarily a handle. I'm not claiming to be an NFL coordinator here by any stretch of imagination, but just kind of looking at it, getting an idea of kind of how he was thinking through it and the way he was running it. And it would be difficult to see from a quarterback's perspective for sure. So I'm going to Vikings. I'm not gonna ring hands too much about it. I think they could possibly win this one it could get to double digits.
All right, we all picked the Vikings, so that means the Packers are going to win. But okay, got you. What else?
All right, next up, let's see. Let's find another interesting one before we get to talking about our own teams. Let's talk about the rookie. Let's talk about young Jaden Daniels, who, of course, kind of opened all of our eyes here this past Sunday in a win over the Bengals with just the way he played there, and I think setting the rookie record for the best completion percentage in a game for a rookie. They're visiting the 1-2 Cardinals on Sunday. It's a 3:00 game, and they are going into it as 3.5-point underdogs against the Cardinals. Once again, since we're in the NFC, I'll toss this one to Jarvis. Jarvis, go ahead.
Where'd you say this game was at again?
Arizona.
It's in Arizona, right?
Yep.
Man, I like what the Cardinals are doing this year. They look like they're going to be better. But man, this is a game where I just feel like Cliff Kingsbury is coming into that stadium with something to prove. State Farm Stadium, or whatever it is, I believe, in Arizona. He was once there in Kyler Murray. Their relationship wasn't all that good. Kyler Murray got the money, so Cliff Kingsbury is the one that had to go. But Cliff Kingsbury, even though I doubted him, I went ahead and still picked Washington to take the NFC East by surprise. And it will still be a surprise if they do it. But let's see another one of these, magical performances from Jaden Daniels, who I said would be the best quarterback, at least starting out. and it's looking like that right now. He can throw the deep ball. He doesn't get rattled. A lot of poise in the pocket. Can run his ass off whenever he wants. Knows how to get down without taking hits. Not the best slider, but he was going to get down. He can take a hit too, though. You wouldn't think he could because he's kind of thin. But nah, he's all right. He's all right, man. I guess I'm pretty much telling you what I'm doing, even though I think Arizona is a much better team this year, more improved. Cliff Kingsbury has something to prove here, and he's going to try to get Jaden Daniels in here to make it rain on the Cardinals. I think this one could get ugly, even though they're on the road. I think they will go in there and punch the Cardinals in the mouth just like they did the Bengals. I know the Bengals aren't that good defensively. The Cardinals are getting better. But nah. With the run game, if the defense can just get a little better for the Commanders, they could be dangerous. But I'm still taking Washington for this one. I'm going with the Road Warriors and stuff this week. Give me Washington. I think they keep going. They continue.
Terrence?
I'm very excited about what Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray are doing over there. But Jarvis, I'm with you once again. I think this is going to be the Cliff Kingsbury revenge game. First of all, Cliff Kingsbury is a heck of a play caller. I don't know what went wrong with him and Kyler Murray or just him and the Cardinals franchise altogether. Maybe he just shouldn't have been a head coach. A lot of these coordinators, we talk about it every year, they just shouldn't be coaches. But with that being said, I saw something in Jay Daniels last Monday that I think is going to be a problem, not just for the NFC East, but for the rest of the league. And I think Arizona gets a little taste of that first. So I am going with the Commanders. Jay Daniels and McLaurin and those guys, they've got something cooking over there in Washington.
Here on the Great Debate Show, we generally like to have debates. However, I'm going to go with another clean sweep and another underdog in this game. I'm going to go with the Commanders over the Cardinals as well for the reasons that you guys have highlighted. Cliff Kingsbury and his nice little college offense, along with what Jaden Daniels is doing here as a rookie, looks damn impressive. I just got to keep it a buck there. We've been playing very well. So I'm going to go with the Commanders in this game. I'm still just not completely sold on the Cardinals. Certainly think they've taken some steps forward. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. was the obvious right pick that they took in the draft there to pair with Kyler Murray. James Conner is having a decently resurgent year, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the Commanders this week, and so I'm going to take the Commanders also in a upset according to Vegas anyways. All right, moving on. We're going to go ahead and talk to Terrence first on this one with a subject that he is most familiar with. The 3-0 Bills visiting the 1-2 Ravens. Terrence, what you got here? You guys are actually a 2.5-point favorite at home. Which, that being said, with it being a home game, it seems like they basically gave you guys a pretty even matchup. I think it give you 3 points for being at home from a Vegas formula kind of standpoint. Terrence, how you feeling? You think y'all gonna be able to end the undefeated streak of the Bills, or will they continue?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Bills. I'll say this: the Bills have been playing a better brand of football in the sense that they're not depending on Josh Allen to go out and be Superman. I wish my Ravens would actually take some notes from the Bills and stop depending on Lamar to be Superman all the time. However, I don't know if that when they get into a real tough game, they are still going to play that same tough brand. At some point, this is a prediction not just for this game, but for the season. At some point, they're going to get the big head, and Josh Allen is going to start back throwing picks all over the place because that's in their DNA, and I don't think it's out of their DNA yet. But my Ravens, on the other hand, we know that they are really tough. They don't play tough. Those guys were really hardcore over there. They played hard on offense and defense, and I think that will get them the win. Look for a steady dose of Derrick Henry, and I'm still looking for a receiver to step up. It was Bateman last week. I predicted it to be Zay Flowers this week, and he'll get loose for a couple of touchdowns. Ravens will pull it out.
Jarvis?
Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens too. Even though I don't think they're the better team right now than Buffalo, but just as soon as everybody starts saying Josh Allen is going to be an MVP candidate, or he is a leading MVP candidate right now, everything looks great, everything looks bright, and that's when it starts to get a little dark and gloomy. The very next week, they can afford to lose a game. 3-1 is not going to really hurt Buffalo. Nobody's going to go around saying, "Uh-oh, the Bills aren't what we thought they were." It'll be okay. The Ravens need this win a lot much more than the Bills do, and I think the Ravens get to 500 for the first time this season, and they go 2-2. Somehow, some way, they squeeze it out. I will disagree with one thing Terrence said though about Josh Allen throwing the interceptions and the turnovers will come back at some point. That could be the case, but I don't think it would be. It would be probably more self-inflicted, as Josh Allen does a lot. But one thing about their offensive coordinator Joe Brady now, since he got there late last year, the turnovers have went down a lot, and that's because of his play calling. It's been very good, so good that they felt that they could let Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis walk, and they're doing just fine without him. Josh Allen even threw a shot, at those guys or Steph Diggs, by saying that it feels good to, how did he say it? To win games or be successful without anybody worrying about stats. We know what.
How y'all feel about that?
Oh man, we know it was a shot. It was a dig. No pun intended. It was a
You
dig.
think it was inbounds, out of bounds, kind of one of those things? What?
I don't know what went on or how that beef got started with those two. So I can't really say. I don't know. I just want to stay out of that and just I can't say much because both of them look good without each other. So as long as that's the case, it really doesn't matter. But as of now, the Bills are fine, and Josh Allen is definitely the leading candidate. But now that everybody's on that wagon and everybody knows Buffalo's still here to stay, this is when they lose. So I'm taking the Ravens. X's and O's ain't even got nothing to do with it. But the Ravens will get this win. Because as I told you when they started 0-2, this is a long story for Terrence and his Ravens, and it's just beginning. They needed to get off to that bad, slow start. It'll get better week by week.
Here on the Great Debate Show, we generally like to try to have debates.
Oh, no.
Um,
Not you again.
and we're gonna have one on this one because I'm taking the Bills. I'm sorry. I think
Okay.
it's legit. I think from what I'm seeing here, this is it can be. I can see where it can be freeing for a quarterback to not have the pressure of having to feed this number one star diva wide receiver. I'm not saying that's the case for every star receiver, but I can see that seeming to be the case in Buffalo. And so for Josh Allen to not have to now feel the need to do that, I can understand that is freeing for you from a play style standpoint. I think the second thing is that the Buffalo Bills defense is legit. I don't think that toughness is fake. I didn't have these great things to say about the Bills before the season started. From what I've seen in these three games, I was wrong. I'm ready to admit at this point, I was wrong. I think the Bills are legit. I think they're gonna win. I got the Bills in once again. Apparently, according to Vegas, is another upset. Sorry, Terrence.
I don't have a problem with you picking the
Exactly.
Bills to win. But Jarvis, you
Say
remember
what?
last year? You remember last year, Jarvis, when we mentioned that AJ Brown was an issue and Hurst was trying to feed him and it was causing problems all season long, essentially.
Yeah.
And this guy he didn't acknowledge it. He brushed it off. He knocked that dirt off his shoulders. Oh, now he understands how
Hey,
freeing it can be.
no, AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs are different people. It's not the same thing. That's why I said it's not every star receiver.
Well, Nick, come on now.
It's levels to it. It's degrees. You know what I'm saying? Of course, AJ won his, but I didn't see it being the toxic sort of relationship. I think toxic relationship may be a little bit strong, but it seemed less fixable in Buffalo than it did in Philly. And in Philly, it didn't even seem like that was so much the problem. It was just in the stretch where it was frustrating for A, and then AJ started getting his touches, and we started winning. So there wasn't much to argue about. So yeah, no, I didn't view those two situations the same. Like even if you think back to it, like even from a national standpoint, you heard the Stephen A. Smiths and other people saying Stephon Diggs wants out of Buffalo and all of this. Like you weren't hearing AJ wants out of Philly. It was just like he's a little frustrated right now. Then he had a streak of 6 games where he had 125 yards and a touchdown every week, and we didn't hear that no more. It's fine. We'll be all right.
You're
It's not
half
about us.
you're half right, Nick, but I think you're also half wrong because I think what I'm hearing is just because the media didn't make a big deal about it like they did Diggs and Josh Allen doesn't mean it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't as bad as the situation in Buffalo, but we saw with our own eyes A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. We seen a little, disagreement. We
Mm-hmm.
seen a light altercation. And then there was
We saw it last week with CD Lamb. So do we think he wants out of Dallas now also?
no, well, I said it didn't get as bad as the situation in Buffalo. However, it's still a problem when he starts to get back in the lineup and, it's third quarter. I got like 2 targets, no catches or 1 catch for 7 yards. And we're tied or we're only up by 3. Man, let me in this. Get me the ball. It's going to happen. He's going to hear it in the huddle. He's not going to be hearing voices in his head like he's Randy Orton in the WWE. That's going to be A.J. Brown's voice telling him I want the ball and I need the ball. Him and Diggs may not be the exact same, but they are the same. They're divas. And at some point, Terrence is right. That will happen again at some point. The Eagles are talented, but they're getting in their own way. They were lucky. They were very lucky to win on Sunday. And that was
Here we
the
go.
Dallas
This ain't
Guardians.
even about us, bro. We talking about Buffalo. Why are we talking about Philly for? We ain't even had our game yet.
Well, you're talking about the quarterback, the wide receiver situation. So I don't
I
know.
understand. I'm just saying, man. Like, come on, right? Everyone
I
hate on
just think the
Philly, bro.
media
What we
downplayed.
do to y'all? What we do to y'all, man? What's up?
The media
We
did that.
so Jarvis. We sorry we hurt y'all quarterback in the playoffs. We sorry, bro. We sorry.
Man, I am so over that. We got to all. We took care of y'all last year. I'm good. I'm good, man. The Eagles just are one of those teams where it's like it's showtime. It's like, oh, this could be a dynasty. This is a good team. It's just a dream team, so to speak. I've heard that before in Philly, but they're gonna get in their own way. If they don't, oh man, who knows? They could be very well back in the Super Bowl. One drive, one possession remain. One drive, one play. Somebody make a play. We can beat the Chiefs Super Bowl champs. Let's do it this time. They could be that close. They could get there again. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Nick is taking Buffalo, so finally we had somewhat of a disagreement here.
Yeah. I guess if everybody wants to talk about my Eagles so bad, we might as well just talk about the Eagles next.
Let's get
Eagles
to
are
the
going. Eagles are going to Tampa Bay on Sunday. Both teams are 2-1 in a rematch of the NFC divisional game, I believe that was last year, in which we lost, also without
no,
AJ Brown.
wild card. It was the wild card.
Wild card, yeah. And it looks like we potentially may be without AJ Brown and Devontae Smith as well. Then this week, does look we're gonna get Lane Johnson back. I believe he did practice today. Of course, he left with a concussion as well, so I'd be definitely glad to see him back. I think Mekhi Becton also practiced on a limited basis. He had a hand issue. I think overall as a team, we come in with revenge in our minds, and that we were able to pull off a win here. Obviously, maybe down a receiver or two. Ideally, we can get one of them. It seems at this point that it's more likely we get AJ than Devontae for this week, and neither one of them seem incredibly likely. But hopefully, we get one of those. But even if not, I think we can pull it off in a tight one. I think our defense took a definite step forward last week and hopefully continue to do that this week. And then obviously we can do enough on offense, running the ball and getting Saquon and Dallas Goedert involved and then try to get things done there. So I'm gonna take us in a not an upset. We actually are still a 2-point favorite. So I'm gonna take us to win the game.
Eagles 2-point favorites in on the road in Tampa
On the
Bay.
road.
I kind of want to take Philly to win this game. However, if AJ Brown and Devontae Smith is not playing, I can't do that. I'm sure that they could run the ball well and run it enough to pull out the win without those guys. But who are the wide receivers if they're without Devontae and AJ?
Paris Campbell, Jahan Dotson, and Johnny Wilson.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Not
Dotson.
good either.
I mean, not good, but I mean, Dotson, that looks a lot better, a lot wiser picking him up. And Paris Campbell, he's all right if Jalen Hurts can scramble, extend plays. Saquon Barkley's running the ball good, so you get a little play action. They don't do enough play action in Philly either. But anyway, I don't know, man. Without Jalen and without AJ and Devontae, I'm going Tampa Bay. I know the Eagles want their revenge, and I thought they probably would get it, but Tampa Bay came off of a horrible loss last week in Denver. I think they get back to their winning ways here. Philly, again, they had their ups and downs. They looked really good defensively last week. So that just means they're not going to look as good defensively this week, probably. I see the inconsistency from Philly. I don't get a complete game from them from front to back, offense and defense or Jalen Hurts. I was going to pick Philly, but until you told me that, sounds like those guys are questionable or doubtful. I'm taking Tampa. Let's go, Bait.
Yeah, I'm also rolling with Tampa. I don't. I like Jalen Hurts, so I want to preface what I say by saying that I like Jalen Hurts. I don't trust him to go out and win me a game without AJ Brown and without Devontae Smith. And it's not because of Jalen Hurts; it's because wide receivers 3, 4, and 5 are just not that good. And if that's all he's going to have, I'm rolling with Tampa to win in the rematch. However, take Saquon over on his catches. He'll be used a lot out of the backfield for passing plays.
Good call. Good call. Not mad at that. All right, let's see. Another one with a little bit of intrigue. Also at 12 o'clock on Sunday, we've got the 2-1 New Orleans Saints visiting the 1-2 Atlanta Falcons. Some weird spreads going on here. Atlanta is the 2.5 point favorite at home for that one. Jarvis, talk to me. What you think?
Well, Atlanta's at home. Atlanta hasn't been home since probably opening week, and that was when they lost to Pittsburgh. But that was week one. Kirk Cousins has looked a lot better since week one. He's starting to progress every week. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say they think the Falcons are just gonna be a lot hotter offensively, and the defense may get off to a hot start as well. A fast start, maybe can create some turnovers. It's a copycat league, and I think that if they're smart, Atlanta Falcons, I don't know who their DC is, but they have a head coach in Raheem Morris, who's a defensive guy, mostly secondary guy. They're going to do something similar to what the Eagles did last week to, kind of confuse Derek Carr in that offense. Clint Kubiak, they didn't get a lot going. They just couldn't move the ball well. When they finally did, it was too late. So I don't know. We don't know what to make of the Saints because of what they did to the Panthers and the Cowboys. But then what happened to them against the Eagles is like, okay, was that a fluke the first 2 weeks or what? So we have to see. I'm not sure. I'm going to go with Atlanta just because Vegas ain't going to get all of these wrong. They're really trying to trick us into some of these spreads anyway. I'm going to go with Atlanta on this one, though, just because they almost beat Kansas City. I think that if they could almost beat the defending champs, they've already beaten the Eagles. Yeah, they could give the Saints a game. They could get a win with the Saints.
Terrence?
Uh, Looks like Jarvis and I are kind of in sync all night because I was already planning on going with the Falcons. I've watched the Falcons pretty closely for 2 games. I think they are a much better team than a lot of us gave them credit for, and that is going to translate into wins at some point. And I think one of those wins will be this weekend against New Orleans. We all love what we've seen from New Orleans, but as we've known in the past, Derek Carr has a tendency to be either really good or really bad. And he's typically pretty streaky with either one. So right now is leaning towards the pretty bad. I'm going to lean with Derek Carr going pretty bad, Atlanta being good enough to get that win. I'm still waiting on Kyle Pitts. I don't know where Kyle Pitts is in the pits, but I'm waiting on Kyle Pitts. Maybe this week he has that good game.
Well, it looks like I'm going to be the only one to argue with anybody tonight. I'm going with the Saints. Well, the thing that the Saints do really well is that they run the ball very well. The thing the Falcons do really well is defend the pass with those two great safeties they have back there on the back end, and Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. But what we saw even in the Eagles and Falcons game, both teams in that game ran the ball pretty well. And the Saints do that very well also. I think Alvin Kamara may be questionable going into this game, but it sounds like he's going to play. I think from last I saw, so I wouldn't worry too much about him. I think he'll be there and be ready to roll. I'm gonna take the Saints to win. I take the Saints in a bounce back win over the Falcons. I think it'll be a good game for sure. The Falcons, I think, have had nothing but good games. Really, all 3 of their games so far this season. They've really, kind of been in each of them. But I'm going to take the Saints to push the Falcons even further down here, and go 3-1 and leave the Falcons at 1-3. Or, hey, Jarvis, I gotta ask. It's week 4. We got a 2-1 team versus the 1-2. So if the 1-2 wins, both teams walk away 2-2. Should I put anything into that?
Which one is 1-2?
Falcons.
Yeah, I would say you could. I mean, there were a lot of teams this week that went 1-2 after being what
I
was it
mean,
one?
because that would leave both teams at 2-2. So we got that situation for the Saints and Falcons, the Broncos and Jets, Commanders and Cardinals.
I don't see the Cardinals winning. No, I already
That's
got the
it.
Washington winning that, and I don't see the Jets losing to the Broncos either. It could happen.
Those 3 games have a 1-2 team playing a 2-1 team.
It won't be all of them. I think the Jets win that game, so I don't see that being one. The Broncos just came off a big win against Tampa Bay, so they'll go back to their losing ways this week. I think.
So the Falcons are the one that keep the Gematria line in check.
I think so, and at home, that's hot Atlanta. I would go with hot Atlanta. I don't know why you're really picking the Saints. What you said made sense, kind of, but not really. I just expect Derek Carr to be
What
Derek
didn't
Carr.
make sense about it? Tell me.
Well, you said that Kamara is questionable. You don't know if he'll play or not, but because
It looks like he's gonna play. From what the last I saw, like he had a few little injury, whatever, ankle or something. But it looks like he's going to play.
So it sounds like you said that you think the Saints are going to be able to run the ball and have their way with them against the Falcons, and you think that the Falcons' defense will pretty much stop the Falcons' offense.
Well, no, what I said was the strength of the Falcons' defense is more so their secondary than their front seven, and so their ability to stop the pass and really keep everything in front of them is kind of the strength of the defense. I think what can happen is that, of course, the Saints can. If they provided they run the ball well, which I think they will, they'll be able to bring those safeties in and then, maybe look for some things over the top. But either way, I think they'll balance their game plan well enough to be able to come out of there with a win.
Or if the Saints get off to a slow start, they have to throw the ball. They become one-dimensional, and the Falcons not being that good at run defense doesn't even become a factor because they have to throw into those good safeties a lot more than he wants to.
So, could happen also, but I'm betting the other way.
I got you. Atlanta will win that game, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see. That's the 2-2 right there.
All right. If you say so. Let's see. Jarvis, you want to talk about your 49ers? It's kind of a dud for y'all this week, but if you want to talk about it, we can.
Nah,
10-point spread over the Patriots?
I don't want to spend much time on it. 10 points is a lot for a team that doesn't really know if they're going to have any of their starters back at all from the core players. You've got Hargrave out for the season. I'm not looking at the injury list right now, but it's starting to look pretty flooded. So, they're supposed to beat the Patriots at home, but I'm going to say this, guys. The Patriots are allowing like 19 points a game, their defense, and that's 10th in the league right now. That's not bad. That's top 10 defense. And the Niners are allowing 23 points a game right now versus the 17.5 that Steve Wilkes was allowing. But nobody's saying anything or pointing fingers at the Niners defensive coordinator. I know it's just 3 weeks, but you got to blame somebody, right? If you're not going to blame Purdy, which he's not to blame, if you're not going to blame the head coach, which he is to blame, you got to blame somebody. Special teams coach, positional coaches, defensive coordinator. I know it's early, but sometimes you just realize, hey, this ain't going to work. I guess the Niners win. I guess that's what if you want a prediction, I guess they win. But 10 points, I did see a report saying that everybody practiced today as far as Kittle, Debo, Purdy, and Trent Williams. However, Kittle was the only one that's playing for sure that we know of. Debo's still supposed to be out another week. And I'm not sure about Trent Williams' status, and I'm not sure we know McCaffrey's he just went to Germany and had a procedure done, and he actually may be out past the 4-week IR because I think he needs to be out another 3 to 4 weeks. But they haven't really reported that yet, though. So I go Niners, but I just don't think that they're gonna beat them by 14. They might, but they might not. Again, the Patriots aren't no chopped liver. I don't think. That's just me.
I'm with you, Niners, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
I think this is one of those games, the opposite of what the Cowboys just had, where you need these games just for the sake of getting healthy, right? Where the Cowboys just lost games, they're going into a rough stretch. The 49ers need to get healthy in a lot of areas. This is a game where you can afford to rest some people, still win. I wouldn't even care about the spread. Bottom line is 49ers win. They get to rest some guys and come back stronger, hopefully.
All right, we can close it out with one of the two Monday night matchups, the later of the two Monday night matchups we've got this week. We've got the 3-0 Seattle Seahawks visiting the 2-1 Detroit Lions. Detroit is a 3.5 point favorite at home. Terrence, I'll give you this one first. Who you got?
Hmm. That's actually tough because I think a lot of both of those teams. My heart is telling me to pick the Seahawks. My head is telling me to pick the Lions. I want to go with my heart. I like what DK has been doing over there. Gino is still playing good football. The Seahawks are emerging. I'm actually going to take the Seahawks in that. So we might have a 4-0 team in the NFC West.
Wes.
And that's, yeah, West, like Adam West. But no, I'm going to take the Seahawks in that. I love what the Seahawks are doing. I still think the Lions are going to be formidable, but I think the Seahawks win. I do believe it'll be a shootout, but I just think the Seahawks will come out in the end.
Jarvis?
Where's that game at again?
Detroit.
They played last year in a head-to-head. I just don't remember who got that win. I want to say Seattle pulled the upset last year in Detroit, or did the Lions hold on to the victory? I'm not sure, and to me that really matters.
Seattle
But I
won.
don't know for sure. I damn yeah. Look, Detroit made a very, very, very. I thought I thought it was kind of impressive because they needed to make a statement, and they did when they went into Arizona and beat the Cardinals. They needed to do that because the Cardinals were red hot. They put up a lot of points against a. I forgot who they beat down the week before, but they made a statement in Arizona. I think they go back home, and I think they somehow can still hold off Seattle. As good as the Seahawks are, I'm going to say they take their first loss here. So I think this may be the first one me and Terrence disagree with. I'm going to say Detroit's going to find a way to get that win. They've been playing a lot of close, tight games this year so far early, but last week they kind of got away from the Cardinals. I think in a close one, they find a way to beat the Seahawks because I don't think they beat them last year. I think they get their revenge this year. Seattle would go 3-1, and I think the Lions would also win and go 3-1. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, I believe it is the first one y'all disagreed on, which means I get to break the tie. I'm going with Detroit. I think Detroit comes in at home after having won last week and kind of getting themselves together there. Um, I'm taking Detroit to win that one. I think Seattle. I think Detroit is almost like a step ahead of Seattle in that growth process of trying to get themselves to being a legit championship contender. I think Detroit's like a year ahead of where Seattle is in that kind of rebuilding process. And so I think this is the year where they win a tough game like this, which is I believe is going to be. I believe it's going to be a very good game. But I'll take Detroit to win it.
I can
Okay.
respect that.
That's it, man. The rest of this looks kind of boring.
Yeah, pretty much. The Chiefs. Who are the Chiefs playing this week?
Chiefs are playing the Chargers. It looks like it's going to be no Justin Herbert in that game. He re-aggravated a high ankle sprain this past weekend, so looking to be no Justin Herbert. So I wouldn't see that one being particularly close. Kansas City is a 7-point favorite, so it could be a get right game, particularly for Travis Kelce, who hasn't had much going for him this year.
Yeah, good point. No Justin Herbert. Yeah, in my book, probably no chance. They got Heineke, I believe, as their
No
backup.
Derwin James either. He's suspended for repeated violations of player safety conduct rules or whatever.
Well, looks like the Chargers are going to go 2 straight losses after starting the season with 2 straight wins. I just was wondering who the Chiefs were playing. I didn't remember,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we didn't talk about them. So, all right, nothing much to talk about on that end, I guess. So, all right, that pretty much does wrap up the NFL games. Is there anything, any storyline from this week that anybody wants to touch on before we wrap it up, like in the NFL or the NBA? We know we got training camp coming up. Is there anything? I heard Penny Hardaway is getting into some trouble, or he has gotten into a little trouble with the NCAA. Maybe we should do a little bit more research and come back to that, though. But that's something that people will probably want us to talk about, seeing that we are in Memphis and the Tigers will be getting their season started here pretty soon. Memphis basketball. Memphis Grizzlies are going to be pretty good, so we'll be talking NBA action here coming up. We still need to talk about what we think about the Sixers in the Eastern Conference now, with Paul George being there, and Embiid just recently got paid. It hasn't even been a week ago, I believe. Less than a week ago, Embiid got like another, I don't know, nearly another 200 million for 3 years. If anybody saw that, it was kind of quiet, but
Yeah,
yeah, just we're gonna
I
leave
think it
this
was.
right.
I think it was 192.
Go on. Say that again, Nick.
I think it was like 192 for 3 years.
Yeah, there you go. Something like that. 192, 196.
Nuts.
Yeah. So
Big thing I want to say for sure though, not really not a debate, just more so a big shout out to Derrick Rose, who announced his retirement. Youngest MVP in NBA history, obviously a former Memphis Tiger, was a Memphis Grizzly this year actually, and they allowed him to opt out of his deal and retire here earlier this week. So shout out to him, man. He's another one of those that seeing him, saying he's had a 16-year career at this point and retire. Kind of dates me a little bit. It's like, all right, yeah, I remember when Derrick Rose came in 2009, 2008, and so to look back and kind of see his journey, see where he started from, and kind of what we saw him, becoming before those unfortunate injuries, certainly derailed what we thought was going to be a surefire, definitely first ballot Hall of Fame career. May still be a first ballot Hall of Fame career, but certainly a Hall of Famer eventually, I would think. If for no other reason than being the youngest MVP in league history. And not, obviously the only reason he kind of wasn't what we thought he would be was because of those injuries. So shout out to Derrick Rose. Like I said, he's one of those guys that'll be remembered by a generation, and for a generation, albeit he didn't quite reach or maintain the heights of some of his peers.
right.
Yeah,
Dig that.
I
Dig
just
that.
wanted to
Okay.
bring note. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Reggie Bush has filed a lawsuit against USC,
I
the
did see that. Good
Pac-12,
for him.
and
Go
the
get everything.
NCAA. And that lawsuit could change a lot because if he can get his money, who's to say the rest of those guys can't go back and get their money? Reggie Bush should go back and get every single dime, and I hope the NCAA falls to its
Every single
feet.
dime.
Nick, go get your money.
Every single dime. Get it all, and then some.
Respect. What it sounds
Absolutely, for
like,
sure.
it sounds like from what I'm hearing, we need to tell Reggie Bush good luck and send him some praise, because it sounds like he needs
Yeah,
to be watching his back, to be honest.
yeah.
Because what he's going for, they usually don't get. But again, I wish him well, and good luck. Good luck with that, Reggie. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have. I can't wait to see how these games go this weekend, so we can recap it and talk about where these teams and where these quarterbacks lie. If the Jacksonville Jaguars lose to the Houston Texans, which they probably will, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars will be 0-4. And I just wonder when the media. I've already got on Trevor Lawrence, and I've said what I've had to say about him, and I'm done with him. But I'm just saying, I would love to see the media finally, like let it rain and pour in on Trevor Lawrence, because I haven't heard that yet. When Justin Herbert gets back, I need him to get more wins too. He did start out 2-0, But I mean, they beat Carolina and the Raiders. They had a good game against the Steelers, and then he left that game, and then they lost. So when he gets back, he still needs to do some things too because he hasn't done much either. Like no playoff win, and the only thing Trevor Lawrence has to show for his career is that one playoff win over Justin Herbert that he shouldn't have got to begin with. So yeah, the Jazz go 0-4. Wow, what does that say about Trevor Lawrence? What does that say about Doug Peterson? What's going to happen in Jacksonville in the future? And I know it's going to be a lot of changes after this year. And the Texans, I'm pretty sure after the butt whooping they got in Minnesota, the Jaguars are in trouble. But we'll see. It is right, the Texans and Jaguars, right?
Texans and Jaguars in Houston.
I just wanted to say, yeah, good luck, Trevor. But anyway, I guess that's it, and we can wrap it up. Jarvis Jeffries, Terrence Smith, Nick Ely, we're the good guys here at the Great Debate Show. All you have to do is just hit the follow button, hit the download button, follow or subscribe, available wherever you get your podcasts. Terrence, is there something you wanted to say before we
No,
get
that's
out?
it. I was just that was me signing off. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. Well, hey, that's it. That's all I have too. Week 4 is officially underway. Cowboys beat the Giants 2015. They get a 10-day rest. They got Pittsburgh next week. Can't wait to talk about that. That's the game of the one of the biggest rivals in NFL history. We can't wait to talk about that. But yeah, until then, so we'll be back Sunday night, Monday night after these games in. There's another doubleheader up on Monday night. Seahawks and Lions, and I think Titans Dolphins, or I don't know.
Titans Dolphins the other one, yeah.
Titans Dolphins, yeah. They done
Yeah, I
that
skipped over that one.
They done that last year. It was a part of a doubleheader, Titans and Dolphins. The Titans upset the Dolphins. They upset the Dolphins last year on a Monday night doubleheader. So just take that with what you will. I think the Titans are actually a 1-point favorite. I don't know why they keep being favored every week and they're still, like laying eggs. But whatever. Will Levis is probably about to go 0-4. I'll tell you, the Titans and the Jaguars is not looking good. And with the Titans, it's really just a quarterback. So I can't wait to see what happens there. Is it too soon for the Titans to say, hey, can we kick the tires on Russell Wilson? Will Russell Wilson get traded? I think he will if Justin Fields keeps winning. The Steelers are going to go 4-0, it seems like it this week. So, yeah, I can see Russell Wilson getting traded. But to where? Carolina's probably already going to roll with Andy Dalton, and they're going to see what this season, what the rest of the season looks like and make some more changes. I don't know. But the Titans, they could use Russell Wilson if they think the season's not over with. What about there's somebody else, the Miami Dolphins? They're playing the Titans. Maybe both of these teams are playing for Russell Wilson. We'll just put them up like it's a Money in the Bank match and put them in the briefcase and see who gets them. Russell Wilson could go to Miami. I mean, like he is Tua. Just a little bit more durable, maybe. He's just older. But yeah, like Russell Wilson to Miami, that could be a thing. I don't know what the Dolphins are planning on doing here. If Tua's not coming back anytime soon, this will be interesting to see. Dolphins need to get a win, though, at some point here. And this is a good time to do it. But yeah, I'm going to call the Titans and Dolphins the Russell Wilson Bowl. He's going somewhere. So we'll see where. Jordan Love, will he return? All of that will be good to see. We'll be back to recap week 4 of the NFL. And the Cowboys lost 2 straight. They got back to their winning ways. Let's see if the 49ers do the same. They've been doing a lot together so far this season. We'll see. But that's it for us. We'll be back after these games are over with. Until then, man, y'all please be safe out there. And peace.